Mark, it's great to connect today. Thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
My pleasure, Nate. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm excited to have you on because you and I interview a lot of the same guests. We have a lot of the same interests, and you are one of the podcasts out there that I feel like I have as much, if not more, overlap with you than any other podcast host, let alone guest on my own podcast. So, anyway, I've been looking forward to this episode. And as you think about the things you've learned about leadership, what lesson have you learned that you would most want to pass on to others?
Well, that's an easy answer for me, believe it or not. I didn't know where you were going to ask me, but that's one I know for certain. And it really boils down to caring about people and supporting people in ways that they know they are valued, they know they're trusted, they know that you have their best interest in heart. And the reason for this is that the whole foundation of my work for the last 15 years, but really my entire career, it's just in the last 15 years I've proved it scientifically, is that we think we're rational beings, but that feelings and emotions drive our behavior up to 95% of the time. So we'll say to somebody, hey, if we work really hard, we can get our customer service scores from 3.6 to 3.65, and it means zero to people. But what matters to them is how we make them feel. And so it's not organizationally how we make them feel, it's really at the manager level. How does somebody feel emotionally? How do they feel every day coming into work? Do I trust this person? Is this person appreciate what I'm doing? Are they going to give me opportunities to learn? These are the kinds of experiences. Are they going to give me some flexibility to allow me to take care of a sick kid, or is it all focused on results, results, results? And so, it's interesting because when I wrote my book 15 years ago, Lead from the Heart, people misunderstood it as being something very soft. And what I've been able to show, and the reason that the book is called Lead from the Heart, is there's actually science that proves now that the heart is not just a pump, but is a thinking organ, and it's communicating nonstop with the brain and influencing our choices all day long. So when people say heart-led leadership or lead with heart, mostly people are saying it metaphorically, and I'm saying, no, it's actually science. So by caring for people, we're actually giving people what they need foundationally and fundamentally, and we're born to reciprocate. So when you're caring for the people that are working for you, you can set the bar high and expect them to deliver really great results. And that was my experience for a 25 years career in financial services.
Yeah, this is pretty touchy-feely stuff, Mark, and a lot of people don't believe this. Certainly, if they, whether they believe it or not, don't practice this. But I just think about my experience, and I think, what leaders have I had that inspired me to be the best, and so happens to be also the ones that pushed me the hardest. But
Yes,
they're the ones that they cared about me. I knew they cared about me. And so if I just
correct.
think like, okay, if I have a manager who does not care about me, but they push me hard, I'm not gonna like I'm not gonna run through a brick wall for that person. But if I know they care about me, if I know they love me, and I feel it, and then they push me hard, I know they're doing it for the right
For
reasons,
you,
and I'll do it. I'll run through a brick wall for them
it's
if I can.
instinctual. Every human being on the planet is wired the very same way. But what's so amazing, Nate, is that it's the inverse that's also true. So when I feel like all you do is care about the results, and if I have a death in the family and the manager calls and says, "Hey Nate, or I'll say this to you, really sorry about the loss, of your uncle or your brother. Do you think you can get that project done before you go away to the funeral?" Like that kind of stuff. People feel that and they never forget it, and they
Yeah.
realize, wait a minute, I don't matter to you at all. And once that happens, that's why, basically there's no engagement around the world because organizations are focused on getting results. They're not focused on the win-win. So all they want is we're going to pay you. You do a good job. We might give you a bonus. If you don't do a good job, we're going to find somebody else. That's the transaction. And what we found and what, proved over and over is that people are looking for so much more than a paycheck from work. They're looking for fulfillment and growth and connection with others and doing something meaningful. And if you're not giving that to them, they're going to either go somewhere else or they're just going to they shut down and just give, the least that they can. And that's consistently been confirmed for the last 20 years by Gallup that that's what most people are doing.
Yeah, it's so interesting. There's such a mismatch between what we know to be right if we think about our own experience and how we're prone to behave when we put on the hat of a leader. And it's just so easy for us to go to that like rational place of, okay, well, look, we have, I'm the leader, you're the employee. We have a contractual relationship. You work, I pay you. And as long as I pay you on payday, and as long as you work what you're supposed to work, then everything's fine. And like, and so it's so easy, I think, for leaders to just fall back on this like rational view as a leader, even though we all have experiences as an employee where we know work is about so much more than the contractual agreement. It's about we want to thrive as people. The job for most of us is a means to an end. So I just think that this mismatch is so interesting. How obvious the mismatch is and how prevalent it is.
I think, it's interesting because you use the word rational, and our rational minds will tell us that all day long. We don't need to care about people. This is business. This is work. Work wasn't made to be healthy or good for people. It's work, right? And so we go, yeah. So let's say, for example, you have a 100 widget goal for a month, whatever that is, right? And so at mid-month, you're at 20. So you have two options. You can go to your team and you can go, you you pieces of crap, you're not doing anything, you're not working hard, and this place is going to get really hard because some of you are going to be let go at the end of the month if we don't hit our 100 widgets. Like we do that instinctively, and maybe not that dramatically, but you get the idea.
Mm.
The alternative is to say, I hired all of you, I've coached all of you, I've trained all of you, believe in you, we're behind. So let's spend some time to figure out how we can get back. Maybe we don't get to 100, but if we can get to 80, that's okay. Next month, let's get back on it. But I believe in you. It's a totally different attitude, but that doesn't come from here because the first one feels so right. The first one just sounds right. It's like that's the way we've always done it. Put people
Mhm.
under fear and pressure and tell them that something bad's going to happen if they don't hit their goals. So it's this moment where you're behind. It's easy to treat people kindly and nicely and supportively when things are going well. It's the question of can you make it intentional and do it all the time? That's what translates for people when they go, you know what? He's real, he's authentic, he truly or she truly cares about me. And that's when this instinctive opportunity for reciprocity sinks in. Like people just they want to please you. It's like you're going to do this for me, I'm going to do this for you.
I can't help but think of Andy Reid, Kansas City Chiefs coach, legendary. He was a guest on the podcast, and I asked him his leadership style, and he talked a little bit about kind of his approach. Mostly, what he talked about is how much he loves Travis Kelsey, Pat Mahomes. I mean, he just talked about players, and every time I'd bring up a player, he'd say, "Oh, you're talking about all my special guys." Then he would just go on to talk about how much he loved them, and then of course, in the media or when people ask Travis and Pat about Andy, they talk about how much they love him.
Yes.
And it's just so obvious when you see it and such an easy default for us to do it wrong.
Well, it's really interesting. You should point that out. By the way, one of my favorite quotes is from Andy Reid is we believe in team, team, team.
That's great.
So you get that. But um, you mentioned sports. So we will hate it. Let's say we're watching Kansas basketball, right? And let's say they're playing some really good team and they're down by 15 and you can just see like the coach is sort of like, well, I guess we're going to lose this game and the players are they're taking some of the players off, the best players and putting the substitutes in and you're like, what's up with that? Like you played to the end. Where's the heart in that? So we want in sports and music and the arts, we want people to come from the heart. We want them to love their people. We want to see the coaches hug their players. We love that. But then you say, well, we should do the same thing in business. And they go, nah, like,
Yeah.
it's like this cognitive dissonance. It's like makes no sense to me that we can't accept that. But it's just that we have 100 years of history of oppressing people in business. And so traditional leadership theory has always said, pay people as little as possible, squeeze as much as out of them as possible. And so when you bring in this idea of caring and loving, and it's like people go, wait a minute, woo woo, steer clear of this guy. This is what I've suffered through for a really long time. And interestingly, I've had to spend a whole lot of these past years just finding research so that people can intellectually understand it. So it's like, hey, you may have this instinctive resistance to buying into it, but here's what this study from, University of California or Stanford or NYU or Columbia, and I mean, on and on it goes. And this is what I think is finally tipping, rather than get people to go into their heart and go, is this the best thing I can do for people? I'm having to affect people with the science of saying, this is why you need to do this to people.
I was just thinking of about I was hearing you talk about that. It got me thinking about a job I had or consulting client, I guess, and it was with one of my best friends. I ate, slept, drank, breathed that company. I was thinking about him all the he's my best friend. I love him. And I know he loves me. And I wanted again I wanted to run through a wall for him. I wanted that company to succeed more than anything. And then if you think of other jobs that or I think of other jobs I've had, it's like I just didn't care. They didn't care about me. They didn't know me. I didn't care about them. And the word you've mentioned multiple times is reciprocity, right? I mean, from the work, Godfather of Influence, Robert Cialdini, reciprocity is one of the strongest motivations, norms known to our species. And when we love people, they love us. Uh, I just, it's the science is there, and I think it just takes a minute for people to get to. But
And I can tell you it takes more than a minute for people to get
yeah, yeah, you're right.
there.
That was it's much harder than that. Even though the science is there, it's hard for us to get there. I guess the point.
Well, I mean, we're talking about a cultural change, and people pointed that out to me when my book first came out in 2011. And I was the first person to connect this heart research. It was cutting edge that basically said that the heart is not a pump and that it's a thinking organism that's influencing our choices. And I managed this way my entire career in financial services. My last job was managing a couple thousand stockbrokers who only got paid when they sold. So you think you just throw them some meat and they're going to go back to work. And, instead I went and visited them and asked them how I could help them. I had people when I first took over this job, I said, how can I help you? And you go like, you traveled here, you flew to come to my office. Like I had tears in their eyes. No one's ever done this before. It's like you're telling me I matter and I'm not just some guy who's hitting numbers for you. And so I've done this my entire career, but when I realized what I was doing was affecting the hearts of people, I literally was in the process of writing the book. I had to figure out, well, what was it that I was doing that influenced people to scale mountains for me? And when it hit me, I had this like euphoria, like, wow, I was affecting the hearts of people by caring this much for them. And then I went and told my wife, I've wasted like 10 months of my life because no one's going to buy it, particularly the people that used to work for me. If I come back and say Mark's book is called Lead from the Heart, they're going to go, oh man, did he have like a religious breakdown or like a mental, like completely gone nuts, in the 2 years he's been gone? And my wife goes, well, don't you already know it's true? And I said, well, yeah. And she goes, well, then go find the research. Go find confirmation. And so when I found the confirmation, I spent like almost 15 months looking for it, and it was just unbelievable. But the real science shows that human beings perform optimally when we're cared for, when there's something called coherence. The Institute of Heart Math has figured this out, that when we are sort of marinating in positive emotions, when we're feeling really good and we're real, safe and supported and cared for and doing good work, appreciated, that it creates so much positive emotions in our body that it creates a coherence between the communication between the heart and the mind. And when we're in coherence, we're set up for optimal performance. So these ideas that, we shouldn't be caring about people and we should just not make it a personal relationship at all with them. And I'm not saying have them over for Sunday dinner, or go out for a beer with them. I'm just saying getting to know them, knowing what their story is, helping them navigate where they want to get to in their careers, whatever that may be. You're creating optimal performance in people naturally. And so that's the message. And it's like, how hard is it for you to understand that? Like, what's the resistance to that? It's the caring part because we haven't hired people for that skill. So it's like suddenly saying to you, this is what people say to me that I use a lot of food metaphors, but let's say you're a master pizza builder, like master pizza maker. Like you can throw the dough up in the air with one finger and throw it down and then throw the cheese and the sauce on it. You can make them in like 2 minutes and the owner of the company comes in and says, "Hey, Nate, we just bought a chicken franchise. We think the money's in chicken, and we need you to start learning how to be, selling chicken and making chicken." Well, you're going to feel really uncomfortable because I'm a pro pizza guy, and now you've diminished me because I'm have to learn chicken, and there's going to be other people who are going to be better at it, and all of those feelings, right? So when we go to people that we never hired with any inclination to be caring and supportive of other people, we just hired them because we thought they could drive results. We say to them intellectually, here's what will get better performance, sustainably greater performance out of people. They don't have the gene. They don't have the inclination. They don't have the motivation. And oftentimes they don't have the interest. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So we have to change the model of who we're hiring for leadership roles, people who already demonstrate that. That's the easiest way to get there.
Well, last thing I was thinking about is, as you know, on my podcast, I interview people, brief interviews, a lot of academics, business leaders like yourself, authors. But I have a series on my podcast called Sundays with Tozer, where there's a mentor of mine uh, who just shaped my life as much as anybody other than my parents. And so I've done 30 interviews with him, hour-long interviews. We'll probably do 40 or 50 total.
Tuesdays
And
with
sorry, what?
Tuesdays with Maury.
Exactly. It's called Sundays with Tozer. Uh, Tozer is the one who gifted me the book Tuesdays with Maury back when I was in high school. So there is that connection as well. But yes, you caught on. So Sundays with Tozer. And as part of this series with Tozer, I brought on a bunch of other people who Tozer has helped. And what it all comes down to is Tozer loves people. He's at your sporting events, he's at your graduation, he's at your wedding, he's helping you move, he's helping you move into college, he's helping you move out of college. And the reason Tozer impacts so many people so much is because he truly cares about them. He holds you a high standard, but he truly cares about them. Well, Mark, this has connected so much with me. Any final things you'd like to share as we wrap up here?
I mean, it's so interesting because if you asked other people that didn't have a podcast, who's the most influential person in your life, or who's the most influential coach you ever had, or teacher you ever had, or manager you ever had, the common denominator is I kind of think they loved me. Even like, in quotation marks, whatever level of comfort we have in saying it. But Barbara Fredrickson is one of your peers. She's a psychology professor, positive psychology star, University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. And we were having a conversation one day, and I said, "Tell me the most profound thing you've learned recently." She goes, "I have the answer to that question." She said, "When we think about positive emotions, we think about appreciation and interest and love and respect." And she said, "But what we've been able to do in awe," she said, "what we've been able to determine is that the experience of any positive emotion is an experience of love." So we're hiding behind positive emotions, but human beings thrive with love. And if we can just intellectually say it's not, like my publisher, the first cover they came up with was a Valentine heart. And I'm like, that's not the message. This is not about romantic love.
Mhm.
It's about all the things that you've done 30 episodes with somebody who valued you so much that you want to give back to them 30 times, right? That's love. And those are positive experiences, moving you, admiring you, encouraging you, giving you a book to read, all of that. every single one of those experiences, in her opinion, in her research, is love. So I end every podcast saying, love your people for that reason.
Mark, it's fantastic. I love it. And I want to be better. So thank you so much for coming to the podcast today.
Thank you so very much, Nate. Nice meeting you.